Today, I'm going to discuss a development that's in the news that relates to Moderna, the FDA, and an mRNA flu vaccine. So, what's happened is that the FDA has given some feedback, criticism, doesn't really like a clinical trial that Moderna has presented to them for approval of a new mRNA influenza vaccine. The issue that the FDA is saying they don't like is that in the clinical trial, which included people above the age of 65, the standard flu vaccine was given. The issue is that in age groups above 65, there's a preferred recommendation to use either an adjuvanted flu vaccine, which is a flu vaccine that has another substance attached to it to boost the immune response, or a high dose flu vaccine. So what they've said is they didn't use the proper comparator. And they are trying to now say they're only going to really look at the flu vaccine for the ages of 50 to 64 because that's where the standard flu vaccine could be the appropriate comparator. The problem is that apparently this had already been well known to the FDA that this is the comparator, and this had been mulled over and thought to be okay, just like other flu vaccines use standard flu vaccines as the comparator. And the point is that Moderna had embarked on this clinical trial with that understanding that this was going to meet the regulatory endpoint necessary. And what the FDA seems to have done is arbitrarily, capriciously, unpredictably changed the parameters, which I think has a really big implication for pharma and biotech. Because if the FDA is going to regulate, when they add in unpredictability into that regulation, it makes it very hard for a company to justify investing $1 billion, spending years and years to develop a vaccine if they don't know how the FDA is going to evaluate it, that it's not transparent, that it could just change like shifting sands. And that's the issue here, is that this disincentivizes companies to be in this field, because if they don't have a path to success, a path to market, a path to return on investment, they're just not going to do it. And the way that this happened makes me think that Moderna was singled out because it is an mRNA vaccine, which would be the first influenza vaccine based on mRNA. And there's this antipathy from the federal government to mRNA vaccines, which is ironic because the first Trump administration basically pioneered mRNA vaccines through Operation Warp Speed. But this is a very bad precedent.